But first, we are going to go to, I don't think I'll call this the sweet science. What we saw last night between Jake Paul and Tyron Woodley. I'll just say they had a fight. But you've heard my take. You heard Teddy Atlas's take. I said, look, I'll give Jake Paul some credit. He, as Teddy said, he took the sport seriously. He did try to really become a decent boxer. I don't think he's a decent professional boxer, but he did outbox Tyron Woodley last night. I thought Woodley could have knocked him out had he been more aggressive, had he been willing to throw his hands. And I'm going to say this before I turn it over to you, Ephraim, and you watched the fight just like I did. And I wanted Woodley to win. I thought he was going to win. I've met Tyron up at, FS1 when we had MMA and all that stuff. Nice guy, I like him a lot. What he did after the fight, though, right after the fight in the ring, for 8 rounds, he really, didn't unleash, didn't unload. And the few times he did and connected, he had Jake Paul in real trouble. But for him after 8 rounds to come out and say, I want a rematch, let's fight. I'm like, dude, you just had 8 rounds to knock the dude's block off. And as Teddy Atlas said, you were too cautious. So I don't really want to hear, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch, but if he's just going to go out there and not throw his hands like he did last night, then I don't want to hear you talk about how much you want to fight this guy, how much you want to shut him up, when you had 25 minutes almost to throw hands, and for the most part, you didn't. Your thoughts?
First off, we're in a world where, like Teddy said, YouTubers have cornered the fight game market in terms of viewership and money. And you look at these two brothers, Logan and Jake Paul, they're worth about probably $65 million combined. So just let that sink in. All right? These paydays that these guys are getting, and I'm talking about Tyron Woodley and all of these guys, it's more money than they've ever made in the fight game.
Woodley made, Woodley made 4 times more last night than any of his MMA fights. Think about that. Crazy.
And so that's the draw. They'll always be able to monetize this. And Teddy said it, right? You took fans who watch clips on YouTube and you found a way to truly monetize it, not through marketing, but through themselves, where they would pay their own money to watch your favorite YouTube star fight someone. And they started this whole thing with YouTubers fighting each other. KSI so they saw what that did. And so they took it. They're businessmen. And what it sounded like to me, especially after Tyron was like, I want a rematch. What it sounded like to me was this is all WWE / boxing all combined in one, right? Like, we don't want these guys to get beat up because they're the cash cows.
So do you think last night, there have been people that put it out there on Twitter.
I mean, come on.
You think it was fixed?
No, I'm not saying it's fixed, but if you remember when Floyd fought his brother?
Yeah, and it looked like he held him up.
Well, he did hold him up. It didn't look like he held him up.
It's hard to.
He caught him with a good shot.
He caught
him with a good shot. And was like, "Yo, this is not part of the plan." Right? If Floyd Mayweather goes out there and knocks this kid out in the first round, second round, whenever, what's the next fight look like for Logan Paul? What is that? How do you generate right? If Tyron Woodley goes out and knocks, like he almost did, knocks Jake Paul through the ropes, right out onto
he might have been out if it wasn't for the ropes,
right? So what is the next fight? Like you said, Tyron Woodley made 4 times the amount of money he's ever made in a fight. And he was a champion in UFC for years. Let that sink in. So to me, this is entertainment, right? This is entertainment. And if one of these brothers fight Conor McGregor, it'll rival.
Well, they're too big.
It'll rival whatever Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather did pay-per-view wise. Think about that type of money.
I agree. And now McGregor's smaller. That's the only question. But you're right. If his walking around weight gets up to 180 and he wants to fight it that way, even though he's basically done as an MMA fighter, you're right. He could make a ton of money.
He can make another $100 million like he did at fighting Floyd.
Maybe. And here's the thing, and Teddy, I think, alluded to it but didn't say it this directly. I think, Ephraim, what it boils down to is guy fans are willing to watch two dudes that can't really fight in a professional sense of boxing, can't really box, but they're willing to watch them go out there and just fight and slug, forget the artistry, forget the true skill. We just want to see some dudes fight. And maybe that's the result. I myself, and I love Floyd Mayweather, he's been great. If I had a son that wanted to box, I would tell him model your career after Floyd Mayweather.
1,000%.
Right? But as a fan, I got to the point where I was so tired of ordering Floyd fights and being so disappointed that there was very little action. They didn't hit him. He hit them a few times.
Chris, let me tell you
Bernard Hopkins, same way, even though he was more, rugged, but his fights got boring too.
Let me tell you this. What Floyd Mayweather did was he mastered the art of the pre-fight.
Right.
He mastered the art of marketing, salesmanship. Anytime you heard him say, "I'm going to knock you out," we all know. Come on. Remember 24/7?
Yes.
That took the fight game to another level because we got to see the opulence. We got to see the trash talk. We got to see all of these things. There were fighters that he was fighting that couldn't. When he fought Ricky Hatton, he had no business being in the ring with Floyd
Hatton
Mayweather.
Was a champion.
He had no business being in the ring. Just because you're a champion doesn't mean you're in
champions got to fight each other.
Listen to what I'm saying. Remember he hit Ricky Hatton and made him headbutt the turnbuckle?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like,
knocked him out in the 10th.
He had no business being in the ring with him. But watching 24/7, you were like, oh, Ricky Hatton got a chance. Oh, he got a chance. Oh, right? Like that's the beauty of marketing. And that's what Logan Paul, Jake Paul have taken from Floyd Mayweather with his blessing, because he just made another 9 figures, right? With his blessing, and this is how you do the fight game. We're not tuning in to see a boxing match. Are you kidding me? We're tuning in to be entertained. We're tuning in to talk trash, to have fodder to talk about. Nobody's tuning in for the technical aspects of these fights. Really? Tyron Woodley, 40 years old, we're tuning in to see him box? No. The trash talk prior led us to believe, and for us as black men, for the culture, after what he did to Nate Robinson, right? Let's get real. For the culture.
Somebody had to redeem, and Woodley didn't redeem it.
No, he didn't. Right?
I mean,
who's next?
Let me ask you, is there any part of you that gives, not the marketing, because you're right, that's indisputable that he's a marketing genius and all that, Jake Paul. But is there any part of you that gives him credit? And again, he's not a good professional boxer.
No.
Okay? But is there any part of you that gives him credit for the degree of fighting ability he does have? He did outbox Tyron Woodley.
Who's not a boxer, but go ahead.
Right. But he's at least was a professional fighter where striking is part of it. you know? And do you give him any credit? See, I give him some credit for that. And as I said to Teddy Atlas, within the last 30, 35 minutes, Jake Paul has released a tweet saying he's retiring from boxing. Now, maybe that's marketing to your point.
Of course it is. What's
maybe
that
that drums
into?
up, okay, the next fight. But I think, and maybe I'm naive, all right? But I think for the first time in his professional or career, if that's what you want to call it, but
it's professional.
First time
he making
in his
a lot of
boxing
money.
Career, right? He tasted real leather. He felt a real punch and was scared. And it's like, yo, like after the fight, he was like, you know, forget all the bravado before. I saw him on First Undisputed with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp a month ago saying, I want Canelo Alvarez. Legitimately saying that. And last night, after winning a fight, he was like, you know what? I'm still trying to find myself. I think I got to get away for a while and, just see who I am. I'm only 24. Like, totally different. He's singing a totally different tune because he really tasted leather and looked scared to me for a round or two because he thought he was going to get knocked out and Woodley just didn't know how to finish him. But that's what I think this retirement thing is about. Doesn't mean he won't come back, but I think he really felt real leather and was like, you know what? Let me get out while I'm ahead. I'm 4-0. I've beaten a legitimate champion, probably an MMA Hall of Famer. I knocked out a famous basketball player. Like, let me get out while I'm ahead. I got all this money. That's what I saw.
What I saw is another ploy. What we have to realize is when you market yourself and when you do YouTube videos and social media videos, everything is planned. You just don't go out and it looks like you just turn the camera on and you just happen to be in whatever situation you're in. That's not how it goes. That's not, they don't do that. This is a business to them. Everything is planned. No one just pops up. No one just happens to, right? We don't get to see the many takes it took to get this one 15 or 10-minute clip, right? Everything is planned. Everything is strategically mapped out. What would make this or us seem that this would be any different? Right? Nothing that they've done seems like it was just happenstance. They're picking the right opponents at the right time, and now, to his credit, he's beat a UFC champion in boxing. His brother went the distance with arguably the greatest fighter of this era. Like, you can't take anything away from these two young men, right? As annoying and as obnoxious as they are, I'm 45 years old. I'm 20 years their senior, right? We run in different circles. But I understand what they're doing. And him retiring until who? Right? Someone comes out.
Might be the same dude.
Right? But what's
Woodley.
happening is the money is so big for these guys who aren't making this type of money. Anybody in the UFC will come fight these guys. Anybody. And if you were told, hey, do not knock them out. Go in there, throw some punches. You can put something on him, but don't knock him out. This is the cash cow. Right? Like, would you sign up for that? Would you be like, all right, you'll make $10 million. Would you sign up for that?
To lose?
Whatever. It doesn't matter.
If I got something to lose, like if I go out there as Chris Broussard, I got nothing to lose by losing to
all
Jake
these
Paul.
dudes are
But if I got
retired.
something to lose,
they're all retired. And they're not in the MMA. It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to put you in the octagon with him, and you can't do that. Right?
So you think Woodley just let him win?
I think
in the
his hesitance,
hopes of another payday.
Why wouldn't you? Why would you first say? Why would the first thing you say scream is rematch? This man just made
Pride.
4 times any money. Do you know how much money that is for these guys? This dude retired. He just made 4
you
times.
might be right. Because here's
think about
the deal.
Think about
right.
it. Chris, I'll tell you this right now. However much you're making with all these jobs you have, times that by 4. And if somebody said, hey, look, I want you to go on here and you're going to debate so-and-so, but don't kill him. Right? Don't kill him. We're going to pay you 4 times the amount we've ever. What would you do?
I carry him like I carry Rob G when he feels it. You
know what I mean?
If I don't get the extra money. But you might be right, because here's the deal. An hour ago, here was Jake Paul's tweet. Updated status, retired boxer. And 28 minutes later, he gave the guidelines for Tyron Woodley's tattoo. Because you remember, Ephraim,
yes.
Woodley, he said, if you get a tattoo of I love Jake Paul on your body, we can fight. And here was the deal. He said, I want it to be 3 by 2 inches at least. Can't get it covered. Has to be permanent. Must post on social media. Has to be visible with shorts and shirt on. So it seems like he a half an hour later, he was willing to fight again. So you could be
Come on,
right.
Man.
We're going to throw it out to you guys. What'd you make of last night's fight? Jake Paul, Tyron Woodley. Is it good for boxing? Do you want a rematch?
Andre, in Massachusetts, you on the Odd Couple. What you got?
Yeah, I got to tip my hat. Jake Paul faring much better than a lot of people thought he would. But in terms of these YouTube sensational fights, I just have to agree with dialogue as you guys brought up and that Teddy Atlas highlighted. Boxers are not fighting other boxers in their prime. We're not seeing Hagler v. Herms. We're not seeing Duran v. Leonard because everyone wants to protect their own interests, stay undefeated, so on and forth. And so in that reality, and also when you have UFC, these type of YouTube sensational events will continue to have an audience, and they'll continue to do big numbers. You guys brought up the outstanding point that Tyron Woodley made more money here than when he's in the octagon, fighting for his life. And so, they've seen a space in the market. They've capitalized on it. And in my view, at the end of the day, they have the leverage now over traditional boxing because we don't have a unified commission. It's all these different divisions, all these different committees, and it's just not producing a quality sport. So tip my hat to Jake Paul, tip my hat to Tyron Woodley. Keep getting your money, and you don't have to take the punishment like you would have in the Hagler-Hearns days. Thanks for taking the call.
Thanks, Andre. He made a great point, Ephraim. And you got a lot of boxers running around today with undefeated records. And back in the day, that was very rare. Right? Because they did fight. When Sugar Ray fought Duran and lost their first fight, it didn't ruin his career. He came right back, beat Duran, then fought Hearns, and I mean, so I don't remember if maybe Hearns or Duran. That was his first fight. That was before he fought Hearns. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? To lose, Ali lost fights and came back. But now, and I think guys learned this from Floyd, Ephraim, to your point. Floyd knew it was going to be a boring fight, so he marketed it, and I think he used that undefeated record to really get people to buy in. Is he going to remain undefeated, or I want to see him get beat and lose finally? That was all part of the marketing because we knew it wasn't going to be a good fight.
Of course,
it wasn't going to be fun to watch.
Right.
But the suspense of will he remain undefeated? So I think it's unfortunate, and boxing is going to pay the price if they don't start having these guys fight each other.
Yeah, they are. We got Murphy and Orlando. You on the Odd Couple. What you got?
What's happening, fellas?
What up, bro?
Hey, when I first saw it, I thought my man didn't want to become a meme because how we did Nate Robinson, all this.
You mean Woodley didn't want to?
Yeah, that's why I thought he was kind of hesitant.
Cautious.
But
right.
After your co-host made that point about 4 times the amount, that changed a lot. You know what I mean? I'm looking at it totally different now. And he might have said something he should have said because that might be true. They might be like, yo, we all going to fight him, and then we going to just not beat him, but just enough so the next man could get hit. That's an excellent point. And with the Floyd Mayweather, I'm still a huge fan, but when he came out with that ski mask talking about he's been robbing people, it made me feel bad because I was spending my hard-earned on the fights, man. And you know what I mean? He had the ski mask on. I'm like, yo, man, you got my money in your wallet, man.
He got everybody money.
Real talk, man. And look, I guess we'll see if there's a rematch, especially Ephraim with no tattoo from Woodley, right?
Right.
Which it probably will come to because I doubt ain't no way he getting that tattoo permanent. No way.